Kendall with All the Things with Kendall, and today we are talking about being a mom. And I have a bunch of people with me. So from the top, if you want to just say who you are, Courtney.
Hi, I'm Courtney, and I
How
have
many kids do you have?
one child.
Fantasia,
Hi, I'm Fantasia. I have 3 children, 2 living, 1 deceased.
3 kids.
Andrew,
3 kids.
Hi, I'm Andrew.
Catherine.
I'm not a mom. I have 2 children, a boy and a girl. They're twins.
Diamond,
Chicken. Ah!
America.
Hi, I have a 17-year-old and twin 7-year-olds.
Damn.
I know.
Okay, so
It's not bad as me. I have a 21-year-old and a 1-year-old.
I only got the one. Well, I actually have 3, but only one that I actually gave birth to. I have 2 stepdaughters, so that's
Aww.
3.
Mhm.
So just being a mom, I think, is super hard. It's sometimes it can be a really thankless job, but it's also like a really rewarding job. And I just had a couple of things I wanted to ask you guys. 1 second. Sorry, I'll cut this part out. Trying to get back to my. Oh, that's why I'm on the wrong thing. Okay, what do you guys think of this new thing? It's called gentle parenting. Because I did not grow up
I don't
being
know what gentle
gently
parenting
parented.
is.
Right, what is that?
What is gentle?
It's
What is
like
gentle parenting?
You
means
put your
like
kid in a
you
bubble?
really try to like no. It's like you try to like really incorporate your kids' feelings into the things that you guys decide things together, and it's like you don't yell at them or spank them, or that's what it is. I did not do that with my kid, but I see that everywhere now, like gentle parenting. I
I
wish
didn't
somebody would
have
have
that
gentle
kind of
parented
kid.
me. Me neither.
Well, being my having being younger than the other.
Diamond, can you turn your sound up a little bit?
Now, can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you perfect now.
Okay, well, coming from my perspective, with it being, kind of newer now for us younger parents, because it seems like it kind of came around now. I do both. Um, some days I kind of like why you upset. Hey, we're not gonna do this, or I'm really talk to her, but some days it just don't feel like it worked as well as when I used to get disciplined every day. So it's like I don't know. Some kids I kind of tired between both of them, but I'm all for spankings and all that. If she needs it, but like other than that, I try to talk to her. But then it kind of makes the dramatics kind of go on a little bit longer. It's not that much of it. So some days are harder than others with the gentle.
Having a little one, right? Having a little one is really hard, really hard.
Is there any way to make the sound better?
I could barely hear Diamond.
Yeah, I can barely
I
hear. It's
barely
like
heard
breaking up.
anything she said.
Are you outside, Diamond?
No, I'm right next to my phone.
Do you have some earphones
Um,
you could put in?
Nope, I don't have any earphones with me.
I wonder
Well,
what it's picking up.
Sounds like a good Christmas present.
yeah.
yeah, we'll just make it work.
Okay.
Okay. In your opinion, What's the hardest part about being a parent?
Puberty.
Oh. Hmm.
I can tell mine now that my kid is grown. Um, Staying out of his business is very hard for me.
I agree
Only
with that, Kendall.
because I worry about him a ton. Just he just told me the other day, "Hey mom, I'm going to go on a date with this girl." And I was like, with who? Who is she? What's her name?" And he's like, "Oh no. I'm not going to go down this road with you." Because
He's
he was
smart.
like I was going to go like stalk her. I was going to stalk her on Facebook or something to see who
You?
she was or
Of course. As
No.
soon as you say that, right.
Aren't you going to
That's
do
what you
that?
do.
Haven't you done that every time?
Uh,
yes.
There's a pattern here.
It's all right. It's all
Kendall, I
right.
can't believe you do that.
I
I
would.
worry about my kids. It's
Miss
so
FBI.
scary. It's so scary with kids
Yeah,
because
it is. There's so much going on.
this
Yeah.
world is not like it was 20 years ago.
Hmm.
Not when I was his age. It was totally different. Now it's like everything's a trap. Everything is, bad and I
Hmm.
you know how you worry. I
Well,
worry.
I agree with that, but I also think we listen to me. And she's like, why do you have to do that? Why do you have to scare him? And then she goes just on and on and on and on and on and
Oh
on and on
wow.
about why is that bad and you shouldn't do that. Those are empty threat. And I was like, I told her I had to, yeah. And I told her, I was like, Jamie, when you become a parent, you're going to understand. That's one thing. And then the other thing is, don't lecture me in front of the kids because she does it in front of them.
Honey.
Oh wow. Oh okay. So
Yeah, so
she's
she's
like
like, don't
undermining
tell them
you.
that. Yeah, and I'm like, you go to your room and I'm gonna do what I feel that I
Like you'll
should do
be
as a
next
mom.
if you don't stop.
Exactly. Like, oh my God, it's like this huge civil war between her and
I'm
I.
so I'm so sorry, America.
So she takes up for the two little ones.
Oh my goodness.
That's cute.
Yeah, so she
I think that's
doesn't,
cute.
Cute,
no,
but
but it's
it's
funny
like
because she doesn't even hang
it
around
doesn't
with
help.
them, but she's their savior. She's their. Yeah. Other than that, she's not around them. They're on their own. But when it comes to that, she is like front and center and just so opinionated. Which I let her. That's the other thing. Like I do make some decisions with her. Like when we were gonna move to California, I knew that it was gonna affect her because she's in high school. Like who wants to move in high school? And
Right.
because of COVID, she was only a semester there. So I said, we can wait. I'll wait until you're done with high school, or we can move now and you can start in September. And she's like, no, we can move now. So, like, I do include her in decisions, like big decisions like that.
I think that's good
Yeah, I was gonna say I
Yeah.
think that's a good
Yeah,
idea.
yeah,
because it's you guys as a team.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. That's how I see it.
So I know that some of you guys are used to be in different situations where you were either a single parent or you also had times of being like two parents in the house. What do you guys think is better? Do you think it makes a difference?
It does have somebody always, arguing back and forth with me about certain things with them. It was easier, honestly.
I think having two parents in the household is a good thing, and it doesn't matter both ways. I feel like if I tell my son no, his dad will agree with me. He won't say, "Oh no, don't tell him no" or nothing like that. Especially if he's in the wrong. But it can be a hard thing as well because he works 12 hours a day and it leaves a lot of the work on me because I'm not working right now. So, as far as like cooking, cleaning, and tending to him mostly because he's tired when he comes in. So that's the pros and cons of it, I feel like.
Uh, I don't know. Like, I was with their dad all this time, and he would always like encourage Jamie to do things, but he wasn't like there to actually like help her do things. Um,
Mhm.
he would leave me to do the disciplining. Like, like it wouldn't be like, can I do this? Go ask your mom. Can we do this? Go ask your mom. Like it was always go ask your mom, go ask your mom. And then if I didn't include him, then he would be upset. But it was always go ask your mom, whatever your mom says. And it's like, okay, but you can say something too. You can say no. You can say let's talk
Because
about
he
it.
don't want to be the bad guy.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah. And when I told them, okay, it's time for you to talk to her, it was very blunt, and basically now they have a bad relationship because of his approach. But I don't know. I just think it depends on the person because I didn't have my dad and I thought it was better. Like my mom told me one day, she's like, "Do you want me to go back with your dad?" And I was like, "No, because then you're gonna be unhappy, and if you're unhappy, then I'm gonna be unhappy." And so I felt the same way. I'm like, if I don't leave, then I'm never gonna be happy, and my kids are not gonna be happy. So I, it's hard, but if I would have stayed, then my kids would be suffering, in my opinion.
What do you think, Andrew?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay, great. I wasn't actually plugged in. I was like, I can't hear anyone. Anyway, no, I think you know, I think that my grandmother had a big hand in raising me and raising Kendall. So I grew up with this very strong ideology like around the mother. Like so when I had children, I was very much like, okay, so I'm going to support you in a lot of the big decisions or your decisions. And I think that I had to do that in particular because a lot of times we didn't necessarily agree on approaches. So I had to make a really like clear cut decision about like which way we were going to go, in order to like show some type of support. So when really the only thing that we were ever really able to agree on was the children and having like the focus on the children. I think that overall, holistically, it's better to be separated because I feel like I'm happier as a person, and I've got like more mental bandwidth instead of thinking about all the stuff over here. I can focus my attention on them. Um, so really, that's been a really kind of moving apart freed me up in a lot of ways to I think engage more because had I asserted myself more in a different way, it would have been almost like kind of like a power struggle back and forth. Um, and I think that's really the hard part of it is that I don't see couples really having that conversation about the children, about being like, okay, this is what we're going to do. Like, this is how we're going to raise them. Like, everyone just sort of brings their own stuff, and it's sort of like a mess in a way. Instead of having like a unified front and being like, okay, this is how we're going to handle it. So that way there's like solidarity. So the children aren't able to, run back and forth and run amok and do all those things. So that there actually is like a layer of parenting because it's really hard, to be there by yourself, holding up your hand, being like, "Oh, hey," when all they do is just run right around you, and go that way, to try to get out of things. I think that for me, I had this conversation with my aunt earlier, my aunt Chris up in Michigan, and we were talking about a divorce that was happening with one of the family members, and they're both running to go and get their lawyers, and they're doing this thing and they're doing that thing, and they've got their court appearances, and this is probably going to cost them $20,000-$30,000 of money,
Oh my
right?
goodness.
To go through this like divorce because they couldn't agree on something, and I was like, all that money's going to go to those people, and it's not going to the children.
Right.
Think about
Right.
that,
Mm-hmm.
like what are we doing, kind of thing. So I think that as like Americans or as people, modern day people, we there's a lot of like self, right? In everything that we do, we want to be independent. We want to be heard. We want all these things for us. But when you have a child, it's like you kind of got to let part of that go and be like, okay, well, there's what's best for the whole situation, and I got to give something here. And I don't think a lot of people are on board with that, quite frankly. I don't think that they're either aware or prepared to do that. I think they want to have it both ways. Well, that's my opinion. So
What do you think, Diamond?
Um, Personally, I've raised my daughter with her dad. Um, and I mean, I honestly feel like if a child doesn't know a two-parent household, I don't think it's going to necessarily just affect them off of the topic of them not having a two-parent household. Um, I was still actively raised by both of my parents, and they weren't together. Like, I don't think that is something that makes or breaks a parenting. I think a lot of people don't like necessarily put the feelings of the child in front of the relationship at times, sometimes, because like Andrew said, you spending all that money for lawyers and stuff, but that could be going to your guys' children. Like, you guys could sit down and have a common conversation about your children and split that equally between them instead of arguing about something. um I I don't know. I've always raising my daughter, I'm left to be the disciplinarian as well. But at the same time, if her dad needs to step in, he will. And he has my back in whatever I say to her,
Mm-hmm.
which helps her to see, like, oh, I can't go to daddy and say, I can't. I can't go back and forth. Like, daddy said this and
Mm-hmm.
mommy said this, so this is what it is. Like, she's 3, so yes, she tries, but it's again one of those things, having that front and being like, okay, if I say this and this is what it is, like, but again, that comes from having a conversation, because there was multiple times that he would kind of just kind of shy away from what I said, or kind of do the opposite of what I said for her. And it would be one of those conversations at night, like, hey, don't do that. Like, we need to show her that we're together on stuff. If not, then we have that conversation later. Don't make a decision. If I made a decision of the opposite, like, we need to talk. So I just think it just comes from communicating between the parents to make that communication with the child better, honestly. Like, my daughter, me and her dad aren't together now, but she'll still call both of us. Like, it's not one of those things that's like, now she only feels like she has one parent. Like, she still knows that if she wants something or asks for something, like, it's gonna go through us. That's kind of my take on it. It just depends on if it's a healthy foundation, it's healthy parenting. If it's not, then it's children pick up on things quicker than what we think.
Mm-hmm.
Especially for my
Yep.
3-year-old, just seeing her do certain things, they watch and they learn and they apply to relationships down the way, and you kind of see those things you want to deter them from, but you can't because you did it, or you said it, or things like that. So I think it's one of those things.
So, what do you guys think is your biggest mistake in parenting? And I'll go first. I feel like my biggest mistake when raising my kids was putting myself as the go-between parent. And I don't know if I did that subconsciously or on purpose, or I was a stepmom, so I felt like I know I didn't have a stepmom in my life, so I didn't, like know what one necessarily did. So I put myself in that place. And another thing that I regret is being the parent that always said, "I'm going to tell your dad. You want to do this? I'm going to tell your dad." And that was my big threat. And if I could go back in time, I would change those two things.
Me,
Oh yeah.
for being 26, I wish that I was like a better version of myself for her. Like, we're growing together as one, but I wish that I could have been better before her getting here.
Mm.
What about you, Court? What would you change?
I'm still trying to think. And the way I don't regret having them early. I am old now. I do not have it anymore. Like those were my greatest years. Seriously. Like
Hey, hey, I still got it.
but I'm trying to think. I don't know. Everything has shaped me to be who I am now, so I don't I can't say I have
Man, I
any.
got a whole laundry list
I
of
mean
things.
I
Those were
wanna
just my top two.
see I would do something like go do high school over again. Stuff like that. Like I don't
No, like, no, I mean, it doesn't even have to be like Andrew.
I would say, like when they were early on, like being there. What Diamond said resonated with me because when like I found out I was going to have children, I was not in the place that I had mentally built up where I should like mentally like where I should be to have children. So what I did is I was like, oh, I got to make up for all this, stuff. So I started focusing very heavily on my career. Like I was like, oh, I'm gonna have a little boy. And then I was like, oh, I'm gonna have a daughter. Like I'm gonna have to pay for all this stuff, and she's gonna want things, and I don't want her to have the boogity dad, kind of thing. I want to be the good dad. So I started working like really, really hard, and that took me like away from them. I'm off traveling, doing all these different things, and like I'm being like financially successful, and all this like stuff. And I thought I was doing the right thing, because I'm like, well, I got to be able to pay for our place, and I got to be able to pay for this and pay for that, and in order to have all these different things happen. And ultimately there's a pretty big gap in there where I really wasn't there for like several years. And if I had it to do over, I think that I would have found a way to like do both, to have like an actual balance. I mean, because I was gone. I'd be gone like 3-4 months at a time, just gone out of the country, and all the things that I missed like along the way. It's just if I think about it, I can't even remember a lot of it. Like there are years in their lives I'm just like I don't even know what happened, because I was just so completely focused on making money and making sure that I was fulfilling my role as like provider, but it just I completely overtoggled in the wrong direction in a way. So that had a lot to do with me stepping out of all that and going and working in something else where now I understand like what the priorities actually are. and really balancing things out differently. But yeah, I would completely change that. I completely messed up
But
because you don't get the time back.
Right.
you know what though? I really honestly think that you take a lot of your baggage from your childhood into you being a parent, because I think the reason why you did that, Andrew, is because we didn't have that type of a dad. We didn't have somebody who was reliable and, financially stable at all, or even like this much. And I feel
No,
like
I
what I
mean,
what I took from that was we didn't have parents that were like, we're going to go this place and we're going to do this and we're going to go to do this and this and this. And I felt like when I had for my kids, we were always going to the pool, or we went to the library, or I took them everywhere with me, every movie night at school, every thing that we could do, we would do, because I thought that was what a good parent was doing.
yeah. Well, I mean, I just kind of put it in like nuts and bolts terms. I mean, if we didn't have anything, okay,
Right.
we didn't have heat, we didn't have a phone, we didn't have a television. I mean, we didn't have anything. We didn't have food. I mean, I'm not kidding. Like, we didn't have any of that stuff. We didn't have a car. You know, they didn't have
Right.
jobs, so it was bad. It
Right.
was not great. So I was like, oh man, like goldfish
Right.
cost money. Apple juice costs money. This phone costs money. All that. I mean, it really did. It freaked me out. I was like, what in the world? I was like, oh, they're going to come live with me now? I was like,
So
yeah.
you wanted
I was
to
like,
better yourself for your kids because you didn't want them to have to go to the struggle that you went through when you were younger.
Yeah. we was we
absolutely
were
not. I was
Oh
we
yeah.
were
like,
in the
yeah.
we were in
I
the
mean, I
we
had a
were in the thick
goal.
of the ghetto. we were,
Believe me, I was
We
raised in
were,
Highland Park, so I know.
yeah, right. So I get that. But no, I mean, I had a really singular goal. I was like, my children are going to be able to do what they want to do, and they're going to be like proud of their family. And you know, I've attached I've attached a dollar tag to that and been like, okay, this is it. So they can do what they want to do. They can have what they want to have. We can go where we want to go, kind of thing. Because yeah, I mean, I didn't have any of that, but it's been really hard for me to reconcile what it takes to get there versus like because it necessarily takes you away from them unless you like own your own business or something, kind of thing. So yeah, it's been something else. Um,
America, you didn't answer the question.
that's right.
Is she still there? America,
Yeah, I'm here. I was talking to my
you know,
mom.
do you have? Oh, okay. Do you have anything that you regret or you wish you would have done differently?
Um, yeah, I think I wish I was a little bit more strict. uh, Also not, I think that Jamie right now doesn't, we have a good relationship and everything, and she's a good girl overall, but I feel like she thinks we're like more friends sometimes.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
uh, Not necessarily bad, but at times, like when I'm disciplining the little ones, she feels like she can butt in, and that's one of the things that I wish I put like a, you know,
Boundary
like a
up.
stop to that. Yeah, boundary, exactly. But um, I think yeah, that's one of the main things is that boundaries with her and a little bit more strict. They give in too easily. Um, But yeah, I try to do the things that like Kendall says, like go to the movie nights and stuff like that. But it's hard. It was hard because even though I was with their dad, I was the one who always had to do those things: the parent teacher conferences, the signing up for this, it was always uh I had to do that. So um, but yeah, those were some of the things.
What would you guys say is the most rewarding thing about being a parent?
Um, Well, you
I
managed
think
to
the
put.
unconditional love is like they love you because, you're their mom, you're their dad. Like there's nothing attached to it. It's just pure love.
For me, it's when me and Aaron wake up in the morning and she tells me how much she loves me, and she just grabs my neck so tight and she's like, I love you, Ma. And she'll just say that throughout the
Oh,
day. She'll be like, I love you, Ma, and just give me a kiss. And those are the moments where I'm like, even when I'm having one of my moments where I might be crying because I feel like I didn't do the best today, she she'll just come, you okay, Ma? You good? I love you, Ma, and just give me a kiss, and it makes me dry up every tear that I was just dropping because she's showing me like, yeah, she sees all the work that I'm putting in, that I want her to acknowledge and know that this is what true love is. This is unconditional love. Like, this is what you need to look for in someone when that time comes. But it's just those moments of just, even when I'm about to pull my hair out because she said Mom 35 times in 1 minute, her saying I love you makes me feel better.
Aw.
I think my most rewarding thing is seeing my kids grow up and be fucking awesome kids. They're awesome adults. They amaze me all the time. I'm like, damn, they're so much better than I was at their age. It's super super heartwarming.
It's the unconditional love for me, and knowing that my 21-year-old was raised good and that he turned out to be a good boy, despite, what his father, what he's seen his father doing everything, he still turned out to be good. And I'm proud of that. And the unconditional love for my 1-year-old.
Yeah, right. I don't know about this unconditional love. I think it's because we got treats. Uh, candy gets you far.
Yeah.
Um, no, I think for where I'm at with the children, it it's watching them develop into their own person. Um, with like their different likes and dislikes, and like their different personalities coming into play. And no matter where I take them, in any given situation, I will literally have people come up to me and say to me, your children are very well behaved, or your children are very polite, or they're like very self contained, you know, especially, I'm not even going to qualify it, they they just are. And, they have a lot of character. And, just like watching them just like evolve. I mean, it's really amazing. I'm just like, wow, look at this. Look at what you're doing. Look at all these things that that about and you've accomplished and things like that. Their latest thing is watch and learn, Dad. Watch and learn. I was like, great. I was like, we need to get you a license so you can drive me around. Um, yeah, because I mean, comparatively speaking, I mean, they are light years ahead of like where I was at. Being like sophisticated. The children have been, I think, to all 48 states. In the continental U.S. They've flown. They've gone to all these different places and done all these things. They're studying and doing these things. They're like playing instruments and taking classes and just being like really involved. It's really amazing to me how the whole thing has unfolded.
Courtney, did you get a chance to answer?
What was the question again?
What's the most rewarding part of being a parent?
Well, Kendrick's grown now, so I guess it's when he comes to ask for, like, when I'm still needed or desired at this point.
Okay.
He won't even walk with me in public sometimes, so yeah.
My son, we were going to go across the street and I was like not paying attention, and he's like, "Mom, you almost got hit by a car." He's like, how do you get across the street when I'm not here? I'm like, oh my God.
Dang,
He
Kendall.
thinks I'm crazy. I know. Does anybody have any funny stories about their kids or anything else they want to say? Because we're about to wrap up.
The dude.
Oh, I have a good one for America's daughter. I always call America dude. Like, I'll be like, dude, call her, text her. And her kids have always heard me say that. And she had, how old do you think your baby was when she said that? 4?
Uh
3?
3 or 4?
So she brought her daughter to where we worked, and I was holding her and I was like walking around with her, and we ran into one of the other employees, and she was like, Kendall, who is this? And I was like, oh, this is America's daughter, say hi. And she was like, she took her little hand, she was like, and this is dude. She tried to introduce
She
me.
introduced Kendall. She's like, and this is dude.
She was serious, huh?
Yeah,
That was so
it was
funny.
so funny.
No funny stories? No
Oh,
more funny stories?
one other stuff when Kendrick was younger, I told him, okay, so he takes everything literally. So if you say don't open the door for anyone, like he left my mom on the porch, and and one day he was at Michelle's house, and he was with a group of boys, and my mom was supposed to come pick them up. And they looked out the window and thought my mom was an Asian. I think they called her an Asian man or something. And they wouldn't open the door for her. And of course, Kendrick wouldn't open. She started calling him. He still wouldn't
Oh my
open.
God.
Yes. And then one day he called me
He
at
is a
work.
mess.
He wouldn't open the door. And they were like knocking. And he called me and told me the ups man was here. I laughed so hard at work. Like he said, the ups man came. And I ain't opened the door. He has a package for you.
I have one about Desmond. We were at, Courtney, you were there for this. We were at a Chinese buffet, and Desmond was so insistent on going to get his own food. I think he was 4. And I let him go up there, and me and Courtney are like watching him, and this man comes up and was talking to him, and we were like, if this man don't stop talking to him pretty soon, we're going to have to like go and check it out. So he comes back to the table, and we were like, Desmond, what was that man saying to you? And he was like, oh, he asked me if I speak Spanish, and I told him no because I'm brown, not orange.
Because I'm brown.
Oh no! Remember when we lost him in Walmart and he told them his name was Max Steel? Over the intercom,
we lost him. Could the mother of Max Steel come get your son? And I was like, oh my God, I know that's Desmond.
That's Max Steel.
Oh my God.
Well, I thank you guys for joining me. I'm super excited about uploading this. I think this one went really well, and I hope you guys will join me for another one when we pick another topic about anything, everything.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'll let you guys go. Oh, now you want to turn your camera on? Oh
Thank
my
you for
God.
having
Hi.
me.
Thank you.
You guys are so appreciated.
No.
No problem.
Wait, this
Hey,
is
Jamie.
this
No,
is
but you
little
know what?
dude right
This
here.
is good. It's almost like therapy. Because you get to
Hi.
Oh,
see
it's
like
baby.
everything from every different point of view, and then you're like, oh, okay. Well, it wasn't so bad after all. When you
Next
just
time we're gonna
compare
have
the
a
different things.
super controversial topic, and we're all gonna be fighting with each
I'll be
other,
right back.
and it's gonna be awesome.
No.
Oh my God.
All right, guys, thank you for joining me, and this was another episode of All the Things with Kendall, and we'll see you next time.
See you next
Bye.
time.
Bye.
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 Bye.